It's Tuesday, October 1st, and time for the Board of County Commissioners meeting of Indian River County. We're going to begin with a moment of silent reflection for first responders, followed by the invocation led by Reverend Seth Wallace of the Christ the King Presbyterian Church, then followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Commissioner Joseph Flesher. Please rise.
Heavenly Father, we come to you as the creator of all things, you who reign above all and hold all things by the word of your power. We pray today for these commissioners, your servants who have gathered to do the work of the county. Give them your wisdom, guide them in every decision. Meet their needs according to your will. I pray that justice and equity would reign in Indian River County, and that compassion and mercy would be the hallmarks of the work done here. I pray for those who work for the county, that you would guide them in their work, give them satisfaction in their labors, that they would work with excellence and do all things well, and that you would protect them and keep them safe. I pray for the people of our county, that you would meet all of their needs. I thank you for the services the government here provides, and I thank you also for the work of the nonprofits in our region who supplement these to meet the needs represented in our community. I pray that we would be a community marked by flourishing and generosity, by success and compassion, by excellence and growth in humility, and for each and every one of us, that our lives would be marked by love for one another. Grant wisdom today in all the work that is to be done, and bless each of these government servants that they may serve well and with joy. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the greatest nation on earth, the United States of America, land of the free because of the brave. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much for that prayer, Reverend Wallace. We move on to additions and deletions to the agenda. Commissioners, any additions or deletions?
Move approval.
Seeing none, we have a motion by Commissioner Flesher to approve, seconded by Commissioner O'Brien. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. We move on to presentation of a proclamation designating October 2019 as Manufacturing Month in Indian River County. This will be presented by Commissioner Peter O'Brien to Helene Casselton and I believe a group from the chamber. Come on up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, Helene, see you got some folks come in.
I'll see together here.
Good morning. Y'all come on up, don't be shy. I know. This is a proclamation designating October 2019 as Manufacturing Month in Indian River County, Florida. Whereas the manufacturing industry is vital to the health of our county, the state of Florida, and our entire nation. And whereas manufacturing is one of the cornerstones of our local economy, helping to sustain our quality of life, as well as foster a solid and diversified tax base in Indian River County. And whereas Indian River County, in partnership with the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce, supports the manufacturing industry and manufacturing careers. And whereas manufacturing provides over 2,200 high-wage and high-skilled jobs in Indian River County, an increase of 300 jobs since 2018, and paying an average annual wage of $56,000, higher than our current average wage of $40,000. And whereas our county is home to 135 manufacturers that produce a wide variety of products, from personal aircraft to personal submersibles, sold to customers throughout the world. And whereas public awareness of the value that manufacturers add to our economy is essential to preserving positive relationships between our residents and our manufacturing community. And whereas we joined the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce in its Manufacturing Boot Camp task force members in encouraging students to consider manufacturing as a career pathway. And whereas all residents are encouraged to take time to acknowledge Indian River County manufacturers and their employees for the positive economic impact they have in our county, the state of Florida, and our nation. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Board of County Commissioners, Indian River County, Florida, that the month of October 2019 be designated as Manufacturing Month in Indian River County. Adopted this first day of October 2019, signed and endorsed by all 5 county commissioners. Good morning, Helene, and I know we've got a big event coming up. Why don't you tell us about it?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioners. For the record, Helene Casselton. I'm Economic Development Director with the Indian River County Chamber of Commerce. And thank you for joining us in recognizing the importance that manufacturing has in not just our local economy, but across the country. And I will tell about our big event when we finish. Nationally, Manufacturing Day is actually October 4th, but here in Indian River County, we feel it's important enough to warrant an entire month. You know, many people think that manufacturing is dark, it's dirty, it's dangerous, that factories are designed just for low-skilled workers. That could not be further from the truth. Today's manufacturing environment is highly technical. It includes robotics, automated machinery, and screen technologies. Plus, the economic impact that the manufacturing sector has is quite significant. This industry sector has the highest multiplier effect of any industry sector. For every dollar spent in manufacturing, $1.48 is added back into the economy. Locally, as you heard, manufacturing provides over 2,200 jobs here in Indian River County. Those are full-time jobs with benefits paying higher than average wages for our local residents. It also balances out our local economy. If you could picture like a 3-legged stool, citrus and tourism are the bread and butter of our local economy. Manufacturing and industry in general kind of balances out and strengthens that stool. So one little brief anecdote I would like to add. I just learned last week that one of our manufacturers here in Indian River County, M.A. Ford, is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year. Now, they're based in Iowa, so they'll be doing their celebrating up there, but they've been here in Indian River County almost 40 years. I think that's pretty significant, too. So if you will indulge me, I would like to introduce some of the folks who are here at the podium with me today.
You got a leg cover.
They snuck up behind me, yeah. We do have one of our board members, Melody Ippolito, who is with Adams Media. Melody also chairs our Industry Appreciation Awards Committee, which I'll mention that event when we're finished. We also have Dory Stone, sorry. Dory Stone, our chamber president, my boss, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say your former boss, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then we also have Lori Collings, who chairs our Manufacturing Boot Camp Committee. We have Christy Shields, who's the principal of Treasure Coast Technical College, a very major partner in our boot camp program. We have Christine Burr, and did Tom come?
No.
Okay. Christine Burr, who's a career counselor with the Indian River School District, and the career counselors were instrumental in helping us get the word out about the boot camp program into our schools. Karen Alley, who is general manager of GEI Works, which is a local manufacturer, and you're going to hear from Karen 2 weeks from today. She's going to address you guys, this group, to talk a little bit more about what they do here in Indian River County. And Kim Brady, who is my co-worker, she's our membership director here at the Chamber. So, did I leave anybody out? No? Okay, all right. And thank you, Commissioner, for bringing up the fact that, yes, we do have a big event at the end of this month, Industry Appreciation Awards. It's an annual event, a signature event of our Chamber of Commerce. And we like to recognize our local businesses for what they do in the community, either through aesthetic improvements or their community involvement or success within their industry. We'll be giving out 20 awards this year. The event is on October 29th at the Indian River State College Richardson Center. I know a couple of you are planning to attend. Thank you. I will tell you it is almost sold out. So if you are thinking about attending, please give us a call at the Chamber so we can take your reservation. So with that, thank you very much for joining us and recognizing the importance of manufacturing in Indian River County. And that's it.
Great. Come on up, we'll get a picture.
Thank you.
morning. Look forward to hearing from you.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, wow. Oh, you're there? Good morning.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
I have 4 events Saturday, that's one of them.
I want to move towards the center.
Yeah, come back
this way.
This way a little bit. There you go.
We got fancy.
First time she heard that. No.
All right, continue.
Thank you. Thank you, team.
There are no minutes today to go for approval, so we'll move on to information items. Anybody want to pull any of these for discussion? If not, we'll move to the consent agenda. Anybody care to pull anything from the consent agenda? I'd like to pull 8E for just a little thing. Anybody else? Anybody from the public wish to pull anything from the consent agenda for discussion? If there be none,
Approve it as amended.
As amended, or second, whatever you want to do.
give the motion to approve as amended by Commissioner O'Brien, second by Commissioner Adams. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. 8E is a resolution delegating to the county administrator or designee the authority to execute certain standard extensions to both contracts relating to required roadway improvements and accompanying cash deposit and escrow agreements. Sounds like a great thing. Nothing really peculiar about it, but I was hoping we might be able to get in the resolution a requirement that we either put, after the county administrator approves it, that it be put on as either a item 7 information item or some other way just to publicize that it was done. I've got no problem at all with the idea of giving the authority to him, but I think in just transparency, we ought to let everybody know that it has been done. Very similar to the temporary suspensions that we give it on a somewhat regular basis.
A receipt message. Yeah.
I'm fine with that, Mr. Chairman. I'll go ahead and move your suggestion as a motion.
We've got a motion by Commissioner O'Brien, second by Commissioner Adams. Any other discussion on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
So to the chair, to your point, we just add a sentence at the end that says notice of extension shall be added as an informational item on future agendas.
That's perfect. Just very short, sweet, just like the temporary suspensions. I just don't want anybody coming back to, it actually protects the county administrator to some degree in case people get upset about it for any reason.
So it'll be something on the agenda, not just an email to the board.
It's good to just have it on the agenda to make it more public, I think.
Right, just want to make sure. Thank you, sir.
Great, thanks. So we move on to item 10, public hearings. The first 2 public hearings, I just want to note that they're originally listed as quasi-judicial. They're not. They're simply just regular public hearings. The first is a request from Cleveland Clinic Martin Health for a Class B Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to provide non-emergency ambulance and interfacility medical transports at the ALS, BLS level. Chief, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Nothing really to add to that. It is a request from Cleveland Clinic to provide ambulance transport services between interfacility and not to run EMS 911 calls.
I'll just note for the public that there's nothing unusual about this. We grant them to a number of different organizations
that is
along the
correct.
way. But this is a public hearing, so if anybody has any questions for the chief?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not specifically on the Cleveland Clinic one, but would we expect to see one of these from Lawnwood coming up as their emergency hospital extension facility that's in River County comes online in the next few months? Would we expect them to bring an agreement like this forward?
They haven't moved an agreement forward to us to start for consideration, but I certainly hope that they do.
All right. Is there a way we
I'll reach out.
reach out to them and kind of, I don't want them to assume that we're going to do that for them.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other questions of the chief? There being none, I will now open the public hearing. Does anybody from the public wish to speak on this item? Any comments from the public? There being none, I will close the public hearing.
approval.
We've got a motion to approve by Commissioner Fleischer, second by Commissioner Zork. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you. Next up is a request from MCT Express, Inc., doing business as United Medical Transportation for a Class B and E1 Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity to provide non-emergency ambulance inter-facility medical transports at the ALS, BLS level and wheelchair transports originating in Indian River County. Chief.
Good morning again. For the Class B license, it's very similar to Cleveland Clinic. They'll provide non-emergent or ALS, BLS transports in a facility and will not be responding to 911 calls. And for their Class E, this is wheelchair transportations to and from doctor's appointments and those types of things. And we have a number of other companies that currently provide that service within the county. This is just adding to the group of providers.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the Chief?
Yes, well, just, Chief, you mentioned that this application is ALS, BLS, and Cleveland Clinics was
Same thing, ALS.
ALS, BLS, so code may be authorized.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the Chief? There being none, thank you, Chief. I will now open the public hearing. Anybody from the public wish to comment on this item? Morning, name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Victor Rigo, representing United Medical Transportation. We are here today to request a COPCN for operating for ambulance transportation and non-medical transportation within Indian River County. Our organization has been operating for over 20 years in the South Florida market, operating under those same services. We've met with several healthcare entities within Indian River County, and we feel that there is a need for an additional provider within the county. In doing so, the private sector EMS offers a vast array of services, but within those services, there have been 3 separate areas of concern for current healthcare entities. One is when a patient is being moved from one hospital to the next for a higher level of care, which is not unusual for a patient to do so, but the private sector has not been readily available to move those patients at all times. The burden then falls on the Chief's Fire Rescue Department to actually move those patients. And while the fire department is completely and extremely capable of doing so, it takes them out of service and away from providing their initial service of 911 services for the residents and visitors of Indian River County. We've also met with healthcare providers for skilled nursing facilities who have stated that they've received their patients extremely late into the evening, and that provides 2 separate areas of issues. One being, when a patient is being able to be discharged from a hospital, it's tying up a much-needed hospital bed for that patient. And when there's a delay in transport, they can't use that bed for another patient. The second is when a patient arrives late to a skilled nursing facility, it puts the patient and the family and the facility at great disadvantages, coupled with the fact that the patient and their long-term care issues that they may have, with the fact that now they're scrambling to find any dietary pharmacy needs for this patient, as well as any other services they may need to provide. And we've also met with Martin Health, who has been on the agenda today for approval, and have agreed that if the need shall arise to provide assistance and backup services for them in Indian River Medical Center, we are readily available. While the current providers today may argue that there is no need and the job is getting done, the fact of the matter states is that transportation delays in the patient side do exist today currently. Furthermore, in closing, Commissioners, what I'd like to state is, in the South Florida market, we operate in a very competitive environment. In Dade and Broward County, there are 5 separate providers within each county. And we believe that it is of the public's best interest for a competitive environment. It breeds better service for the public, as well as outlets for the healthcare entities to be able to have wider options for a key public service. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Anybody else from the public wish to speak on this item? There being none, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners.
Just a question for the chief then. In the backup, chief, it says that one of the current providers had some concerns. They will address those at the public hearing. Is that provider not here this morning then?
I haven't seen them, sir.
Okay. Do you know what the concerns were? Or?
I wasn't at the stakeholders meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Yes,
Mr. Chair? I would like to express this, not an endorsement of United Medical, but I will say that the current provider I have recently received a complaint of from a family where there was about a 4 to 5 hour delay in transferring from one hospital to another, and they called me to kind of vent their frustration of the continued delays. They're supposed to be here at 9 o'clock at night, then it was 10 o'clock, then it was 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they did finally get there after midnight, but that was same problem happens. That bed's tied up. The bed where the facility they're going to has been on hold for them to get there. So I think having another provider in the marketplace will help alleviate that. The only question I don't know is if provider one says, we'll be there in 2 hours. If they don't get there in 2 hours to pick them up, what does it go to the next in line, or kind of how's the mechanics of that? Would that work?
We do not arrange those transfers.
Right.
And that would actually go from the facility
Hospital.
to the provider. I think that if the provider continues to have failures in service delivery and timely service delivery, the market will adjust itself, and they'll move to the provider that can provide,
Right, okay.
supply that service.
Great, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Commissioners, your pleasure.
Move approval.
Second?
Motion to approve by Commissioner Flesher, second by Commissioner Zork. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Move on to the next public item, which is Mark W. Plate's request for abandonment of a 130-foot-long segment of the 70-foot-wide 57th Avenue right-of-way south of 97th Place in the Tropicana Homesites subdivision. Plat Book 4, page 20. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. For the record, John McCoy with the County Planning Department. And this is a request for a right-of-way abandonment for a section of 57th Avenue south of 97th Place. And the location map shows the location. It's just to the east of US 1 on 97th Avenue. The subject right-of-way is essentially 70 feet wide by 135 feet deep. Surrounding property is zoned RM6 residential multifamily up to 6 units per acre. And Pelican Point is to the east of the subject right-of-way, and the applicant's lot is to the west of the subject right-of-way. And the applicant's requesting this essentially to add to his property and to provide for essentially the ability to construct an outbuilding, a detached garage on his lot, which this would facilitate. And I'll use the aerial to talk quite a bit as far as the analysis goes. You can see the subject site, and you can see that while zone multifamily, the neighborhood's predominantly developed as a single-family area. You can see that the right-of-way is cleared and graded, but essentially undeveloped. So it is essentially not a street, but it has been used for access to the Pelican Point Maintenance Shop, which is just to the south of the subject right-of-way. You can kind of see that building right down here, and that's what that rooftop is. So that sort of sets the existing conditions from that standpoint. One of the things to note, if the right-of-way is abandoned, it all reverts to the property within the subdivision which is located. So it all revert to the lot to the west. So through the development review process, it's our normal circumstance to contact all adjacent property owners. And in this case, the adjacent property owner, Pelican Point, had some concerns because they've historically used that right-of-way as a maintenance access. So they got together with the applicant and have discussed it, and they've come up with an agreement to essentially split that right-of-way, and they have a signed agreement to split that right-of-way if the abandonment is successful, so it would fulfill both of their purposes. The applicant could add 35 feet to his lot, allow for the construction of an outbuilding, and Pelican Point would still have the ability for maintenance access from the north. So that agreement facilitates their joint interest, and they've worked that out through this process. Some of the other items I'd like to talk about on the analysis is it has been reviewed by all utility providers. It's not part of a thoroughfare plan road, certainly, but there is a utility easement, and you can kind of see the pole line that runs along the south property lines. So there's a need to retain an easement along the south 10 feet, and that would be a condition of approval that the staff is looking for. With that, would like to get to the staff's recommendation, and the staff does recommend that the Board of County Commissioners grant the abandonment with the condition that a public drainage and utility easement be retained over the south 10 feet. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? No, there being no questions, we'll now open the public hearing. Is there anybody from the public who would like to speak on this item? Anybody from the public? There being none, we will close the public hearing. Commissioners,
Motion to approve, staff recommendation.
we've got a motion to approve staff recommendation by Commissioner Zork, seconded by Commissioner Adams. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Thank you very much, Mr. McCoy and Mr. Du Bois. Move on to public discussion items. Request to speak from Fern Grounds regarding littering trash on our roads and highways. Is Ms. Grounds here? Good morning.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Name and address for the record, please.
I was just about to not come to this meeting until my son-in-law, visiting from Cincinnati, and my family from Boise and Cincinnati were here visiting, and they were coming to my house. And I said, "What did you see as you drove in?" "We saw garbage." And this is the waste management. I feel bad for them because they do a good job. They have nothing to do with this. This has something to do with people driving up Highland Avenue and throwing things out of their window, like cans and bottles and food, etc. And it's just disgusting. But Old Dixie is the same way. It's worse. There has to be something to stop the littering and stop the beautification of Vero Beach. In the city, it looks pretty good, but when you get outside of the city, then you start getting the garbage can look. And something needs to be done. I'm asking for signs to be put up, no littering, and please, can't you get somebody post a sign, a $500 fine for that? Because then people would think twice about doing it. And when I have this little Latin lady comes up to me when we're picking up trash, she can hardly speak English, but she's saying, "I can't believe that people will go around and just do this and throw trash out of their window in their car." So something needs to be done to stop it. And I go around and pick up trash. I'm not too proud to do that because it's my neighborhood. But somebody, and it's looking better. People are taking notice that it does look better in our neighborhood. But you can't stop the people from going down Highland Avenue, throwing it out, then turning on 12th Avenue and pitching it out, and that's where we find the garbage in that area. And so there were some signs there for no littering. They have them in Pensacola. Why can't we have them here?
Jason, don't we already have littering
There's one.
signs?
I saw one around 6th Avenue.
We do have some no littering signs, not a large amount. We could look at the areas that Ms. Grounds is talking about and see about putting up a couple of signs.
Ms. Grounds, I appreciate your concern here, and the one issue is, enforcing that $500 fine, it's next to impossible.
Why?
Because a sheriff has to be sitting there and witness them throwing the garbage out. So the odds of that happening are pretty slim to none. But it might be that just the sign would keep some people, make them think twice.
I think it
So
would.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, it may not correct the whole problem. Just
It may
enforcement
not,
of it
but
is tough.
But you don't know until you try it.
Yep, and that's fine. So, without a vote here, because this is just public discussion, but
I don't think we need a vote, I think.
would the board be okay if staff looked into a couple anti-littering signs on Highland Drive and maybe Old Dixie? And I don't want to,
But also on Indian River Drive, it's bad there too.
okay, well, why don't we start with a couple, and then we'll see how that goes. Is that okay?
Okay, thank
All
you.
right. And Rich may have to put a couple before and after photographs, just to get some sort of sense of whether it does make a difference.
There's an impact.
So that'd be great. So,
Okay, we'll start with Highlands and Old Dixie. How's that?
Thank you.
Thank you for coming this morning.
and we move on to Special Districts and Boards, Emergency Services District, approval of affiliation agreement extension between Medical Career Academy and Indian River County Emergency Services District.
Move staff recommendation.
Motion to approve by Commissioner O'Brien, second by Commissioner Adams. Any questions of the chief? There being none, any comments from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 5-0. Chief, thank you very much. And with that, I'm very happy to say we adjourn.